आ रही है। All the three songs. I guess. Maybe about the same thing.
Coming to, oh, I see. Yeah, it's gonna. Oh, actually. The ceiling. The ceiling.
Correct.
No, oh, that will get it.
Parts of proposal, you know. So.
I do have a sequel. Okay.
So. How. I'll take it. No,
Are we ready? Good morning, everyone. This is the April 17th, 2025 meeting of the Tennessee Post Commission. We'll get started. Hope everyone's had an opportunity to look over the agenda for today. Do I have a motion to approve or disapprove?
Motion to approve. Rick.
There's one addition. Sorry. It's not on paper here, but it would be on the last part of the meeting, just before public comments. A discussion from the Tennessee State University on the job test analysis. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Other than that, do I have a motion to approve?
Still a motion to approve.
Okay, and a second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Any opposed, no. All right, motion carries. Administrative matters, roll call.
Roll call, Commissioner Beverly. Commissioner Carter.
Here.
Commissioner Doggett. Commissioner Green.
Here.
Commissioner Jackson. Commissioner Jeffers.
Here.
Commissioner Lane.
Here.
Commissioner Parton. Here. Commissioner Russell. Commissioner Spangler.
Here.
Commissioner Wilbur.
Here.
Commissioner Wright.
Here.
Chair Faulkner.
Here.
Madam Chair, you have a quorum.
And our disclaimer.
All post commissioners have previously agreed to recuse themselves from any vote that would constitute a conflict of interest. The most obvious of these would include issues that involve their own departments or some that they know personally. Because they've already agreed to this, it should be noted that on routine matters, it will be assumed non-verbally that these commissioners have abstained from that vote. In bigger, more controversial issues that may have a more overt conflict of interest that may have an appearance of impropriety, those applicable commissioners will still verbally abstain from those votes.
Thank you. I hope the commission have all been able to look over the minutes for March 21st, 2025 commission. Are there any changes?
Motion to approve or second, Spangler.
Motion to approve and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, report on decertification.
Yes, we do not have a report this month. The informal subcommittee hearing will occur immediately following this meeting, and we will have a report on that and the results from our May informal in May.
Those appearing before the commission for pre-employment.
We'll begin with the Columbia Police Department requests a military discharge waiver for Corey Michael Field, hired April 7th, 2025. In June of 2013, Mr. Field was discharged from the United States Army with a general under honorable conditions discharge for a pattern of misconduct.
Please identify who's appearing for the Columbia Police Department.
My name is Josh Davis. I serve as captain with Columbia Police Department. This is Corey Field, cadet with us.
All right, thank you, Captain. Good morning. So tell us what we need to know so we can make a decision regarding this particular part of the pre-employment waiver.
And thank you. Mr. Fields, he's prepared to explain a life event that happened back in 2012 to cause him to leave the military before he had planned. I'll turn it over to him to do that.
Good morning. First of all, so I'd like to say thank you for everyone here. Give me the time to tell my story and explain my situation. My name is Corey Fields, and witnessing the attacks on 9/11 in 2001. At the age of 8, I knew I wanted to join the military and always felt the call to service. So after graduating high school in 2011, I enlisted in the Army as a mechanic with the intention of serving a 20-year stint and retiring and returning to a career in law enforcement. While attending advanced individual training at Fort Jackson, South Carolina during the fall of 2011, I met a woman, and in March in 2012, after getting stationed in Fort Polk, Louisiana, we were married. Shortly after, in April of that year, we found out she was pregnant with my son. During the pregnancy, we had split up due to our extramarital affairs, and we reconnected to try to make it work between us after my son was born in December of 2012. As time went on, she continued in her extramarital affairs, party life, and drug use, at times leaving my son neglected while I was at work or not being home when I was supposed to leave for work. In late March, early April of 2013, I decided enough was enough and decided to split up with her and pursue a divorce. At this time, she left me with my son by myself. This is when my troubles with the military began. Due to the fact that I could not afford adequate child care, due to still being obligated by the military to provide her with financial support, I was left relying on my few civilian friends and spouses of other members of my unit for child care, but no support system from my family who was states away. Alas, I was still trying my best to be a good soldier and full-time dad while constantly communicating with my chain of command about my situation whenever I would be late or not able to show up for formations. On June 13, 2013, the courts granted me sole custody of my son. At the time, he was 6 months old. The following day, I was brought into my company commander's office and was offered a discharge due to the challenges I had already been facing over the previous months of trying to fulfill my duties to the Army and trying to be a single dad, and I accepted because I knew he was right. On June 21st, 2013, I was out of the Army and moved back to Florida with my son, where I had a support system with my family being in the area. Over the last decade, I worked mainly in the security industry, both in Florida and in Tennessee, trying to stay close to that call to service, ranging from patrolling Section 8 housing complexes in the worst areas of Tampa to a DHS contract securing federal buildings around the Nashville area. In 2018, at the age of 7, my son was diagnosed high-functioning, low-spectrum autistic. Today, he is now 12 years old and thriving. He is excelling in school and is a member of his middle school band, where he's learning to play trumpet. In 2020, his mother came back into his life after getting clean. She is now living in South Carolina and has remarried and given my son 2 half-siblings that he now goes and visits on his breaks from school, and the 2 of them have a good relationship. To this day, we still have an amazing support system around us, from my long-term girlfriend, now fiance, my stepdaughters, my mom, my sister, and my family friends in the area. With that support system and with the pushing from my fiance, I finally feel my son and I are in a position for me to pursue the second half of my childhood dream and my calling to service and pursue a career in law enforcement. I only ask that the commission give me the chance to prove that I'm worthy of the second chance. Thank you.
And that's a very powerful story. Your pattern of misconduct, and what I think I've heard, was being late. Or describe what that is specifically.
It's correct. I was unable to show up to formation all the time. I didn't have child care for my son. Being late to formations, being late to work. Yes, ma'am.
And that's pretty much it.
Yes, ma'am.
That's just some confusion.
If I may add, we did interview his ex-wife, who confirmed most of this and had nothing but praise on him, both as a husband and a dad, during that event, and since kind of confirming the chain of events that he spoke of.
So you and your department believe that this is a good candidate for your police department and the citizens of Columbia.
Yes, we do, and we've looked at his work history since he's left them. Well, prior to the 3 months of pattern of misconduct the military had on him was during the 3 months while he was a sole custody dad. Before that, he had a good standing, good history with the military, and since then his employers have all been praiseworthy. He's been working within the federal system as a contract security, both in the courthouses and stuff around here. He's definitely proven to us that he was just in a horrible situation back in 2012 and 13, dealing with that.
Any other questions?
Commissioner Wright, motion to approve.
Commissioner Lane, second.
All right, I have a motion to approve waiver and a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Any opposed? All right, good luck to you.
Thank you very much.
I would just like to say to the Columbia Police Department, for our commissioners that have probably read through the background investigation, that is a really thorough background. Most of the time what we get is a paragraph on letterhead, and just want to commend the Columbia Police Department on the thoroughness with which you vet your potential employees.
Thank you very much, and I'll make sure the chiefs know that. Thank you, sir.
Jackson Police Department requests a military discharge and criminal record waiver for Jordan Shane Nushenwander. In May of 2015, he was discharged from the United States Air Force with a general under honorable conditions discharge for misconduct. In February of 2015, he pled guilty to a DUI charge in Bibb County, Georgia, and since satisfied all court-ordered sentencing fines and fees.
Who's appearing for the Jackson Police Department, please?
Sergeant Frank Elder.
And you please.
Jordan Shane Nushenwander.
So tell us what else we need to know about this. I see a guilty plea for DUI in Georgia.
Yes, ma'am. I was on home during leave and I went out to the bars. It's plain and simple as a DUI. I deserve every bit of it. I sat there, paid all my fees, I've done my dues. Since then, I've become a husband and a father to 2 stepchildren. I'm also very involved in my church community. I sit there and help lead the praise and worship team. And I've been a year sober. I don't drink alcohol or do anything else since then. And also, I felt like ever since I was let go from the military, I just kind of had a void in my life. And I believe it's that lack of service that I believe the police department could fulfill for me. That's why I'm asking for this waiver right now, so I could get the opportunity to sit here and be able to give back to the community.
Did you say you've been sober for a year?
Yes, ma'am.
Sergeant, do you want to add anything to this?
His, other than the history that he just spoke on, he does have a very good background. He worked in the tree industry, trimming trees, and a hard worker for the past 10 years now. And like he said, he's working in security currently. Every reference was great on him, other than what you had, good background.
And so you're satisfied, Sergeant, that his current social habits have improved?
Yes, ma'am.
Questions from the commission?
Commissioner Green, can you talk about this, leaving the scene of an accident failure report? Something in here on your history. Go back to it. It says, yeah, leaving the scene of an accident back in 2019.
Yes, sir.
Mississippi.
Yes, sir. It occurred in South Haven, Mississippi. I was driving my vehicle and I wasn't paying attention to the road. It was actually in the neighborhood that I lived at. I had wrecked into the vehicle. I'd driven down the road because my house was right down the street. Contacted the officer, went ahead and spoke with him, and we got everything resolved. It ended up being left the scene though because I didn't file a police report, hence the fleeing the scene. And they were going to sit there and possibly do it as a hit and run, but I sat there and told them what the incident was. And so now it's just fleeing the scene of the accident.
Had you been drinking during that incident?
No, sir, I dropped.
Other questions?
You submitted a letter to the post commission, and at the end of it, it says you rarely drink. So which is it? You rarely drink or you do not?
I do not drink anymore, ma'am, no. And just for clarification, ma'am, I believe that was, and I might be wrong, I'm guessing here around a year ago, because I think how long this process has taken since I sat there. So around that time frame, not exact, but you know, I have quit drinking altogether.
Commissioner Spangler, was that the sole reason for your discharge from the military, was a DUI charge?
Yes, sir. They gave me Article 15 for my understanding. Because I know other people have been in the military and have gotten DUIs and they didn't get discharged from it. But like I said, my understanding was they were doing forced cutbacks at the time. So I believe that pretty much put a target on my back, and not saying I didn't deserve it. My actions obviously speak for themselves. I did the crime, I deserved the punishment, but I do believe that is why I was discharged, because of the DUI in Article 15.
Thank you.
This is Commissioner Green, but it says in here that the reason was you had 2 within a month. You had a DUI in Georgia and you had a DUI in Oklahoma City.
Yes, sir, I did. I had 2 within a month. The second one occurred, the time frame was 3 weeks or 2 weeks. I'm sorry, sir, what was that? My memory's a little hazy on it. It was
You had 2 within a month.
within a month, yes, sir. The second one, I also had that as well. But like I said, I deserved it. I was on leave at home in Georgia, then I came back, I went out, and for that one, I was trying to be, because the Air Force had this rule in place at the time, if you were to go out and go drinking, no more than 4 drinks within 4 hours, have a glass of water in between each one. And I followed that rule to a T. And then I went out, I was pulled over for I believe the officer said it was a brake light out, and they sat there and did the field sobriety test on me. Also, what is not included in the report was I did have tobacco in my mouth at the time of it, but regardless, I was still charged with the DUI. I admit to fault on that. I had been drinking at the time. And once again, like I said, alcohol, I don't touch with, I don't mess with it anymore. I don't foresee it being an issue in the future.
In Oklahoma City, you were also driving on suspended or canceled revoked license, 16.
Yes, sir.
Associated with DUI or afterwards?
I'm sorry,
Was it
sir.
after the DUI or?
It was after the DUI, yes, sir. But I've also went through and had all of that expunged off of my record, went through the process.
But it did occur.
Yes, sir, it did.
Questions?
Commissioner Carter, I'm just looking, the charges in the Oklahoma City were expunged, including the DUI, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, but the one in Georgia was not expunged.
No, sir, they do not do expungements in the state of Georgia.
Okay, thank you.
Have a motion?
Commissioner Jeffers, I'll make a motion to deny the waiver.
Commissioner Gray, I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Any opposed? Sorry, the waiver does not move forward.
Thank you for your time.
The Lebanon Police Department requests a military discharge waiver for Anthony Kenneth Jones, hired November 5th, 2022 and June of 2013. Mr. Jones was discharged from the U.S. Marines with a general under honorable conditions discharge for misconduct, drug use.
Yes, please identify who's appearing.
Yes, my name's Eddie Brown. I'm a lieutenant with the 11th Police Department.
Have with you.
Anthony Jones.
Right, so tell us about this discharge for misconduct. Drug abuse.
Yes, basically how it started. So he's been with the department since November with the reserve program. I actually conducted the background back in September of 2022 when he applied. There was nothing disqualifying found in his background. When I asked for the military records that's required, the 2 documents I'm assuming y'all still have where he was discharged initially in 96. And there was an updated or I forget the name of it, the 13038 form in 2004. I went with the last known form form that was provided to him from the military that said under armed conditions. So I submitted that as the requirement to meet our standards, of course, the reserve program. So he's been there for 2 years now. As far as my understanding, he's completed everything, any requirements as far as training and everything. There's been no problems since then. I think the way this come about, y'all now require any reserve officer's background to be submitted to post now. This it brought it back up. Captain Willett, everything's submitted to Captain Willett. He submits everything to the post as far as the required documents. And that's how this come back up.
So tell us about the drug abuse. What was the drug?
This ma'am, it was marijuana. So in 1996, I was discharged from the Marine Corps for testing positive for THC in a urinalysis. And so in 2004, I requested my documentation from the records, the military records, and I was on the paperwork I received, it said general under honorable conditions, or it just said, actually, strike that, it said under honorable conditions. So at that time in 2004, I realized they upgraded the discharge from initially, which was general or under other than honorable, to under honorable. So the paperwork I submitted to LPD 2 years ago when I applied for the reserve program was the most recent paperwork I got in 2004. But I explained everything in my application and was clear about the circumstances initially in 1996. So in 1997 was the last time I messed with any marijuana. In 1999, I gave my life over to the Lord and went through Bible school from 2001 to 2003 full time. Got married in 2000. Been married for 25 years. This September 30th. Got 4 kids, 13 to 18. The oldest is in college in Murfreesboro. I work a full-time job. I'm in the insurance industry. I've been in the insurance industry for 21 years, 22 years. And so the last 2 years I've served with Lebanon Reserve as a reserve officer.
Questions from the commission?
I'm gonna make a motion to approve. Or second.
All right, we have a motion to approve and second. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Any opposed? Labor, the waiver.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, just for the record, and for anybody watching these meetings or looking at the video or the transcript afterwards, all reserve officers are required to meet the same basic minimum requirements as any full-time police officer, including, the honorable discharge requirement. So that is something that I'm sure we'll find as we start to collect reserve registrations in the case.
Sure, the constables have to do
We do not have authority over constables.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, the waiver to attend another academy.
Murray County Sheriff's Office requests a waiver to change academies for Austin Billy Shangraw, hired January 13th, 2025. In February of 25, he attended the Knox County Sheriff's Office Law Enforcement Training Academy but did not complete due to an injury. The agency is requesting the waiver so he may attend the Tennessee Law Enforcement Training Academy in September of 2025.
Is there anyone representing the Murray County Sheriff's Office, either online or present?
Yes, Lieutenant Collins.
See. Got a motion,
Or the motion over.
second.
Or right, say.
All in favor of the motion to approve, say aye. Any opposed, no. That motion carries.
Thank you, guys.
Waivers of in-service. We'll begin with the Baileyton Police Department requests a waiver of in-service for Joshua Paul Ferguson, hired August 1 of 2013. He did not complete the required training for the 2024 calendar year. Due to unforeseen circumstances, the waiver will allow both the agency and the officer to remain in compliance with post guidelines.
Anyone from the Baileyton Police Department, either online or present?
Yes, ma'am. Joshua Ferguson, I'm here.
Is that, are you?
Here's the chief.
Are you with Bellington Police Department, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
You're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
You're muted.
Hmm.
You're on mute, chief.
I'm trying to,
You're still not unmuted.
can you hear me now?
Can you hear us? Nod your head. You're muted.
Yes.
Okay. Maybe if I missed something. All right, are you there now?
Yes, can you hear me?
We still can't hear you. I'm sorry.
Says his audio is not working. He just.
Yeah, your audio's not working. Can you call in?
Basically, Madam Chair, the gist of this is that the department appeared to be shorthanded. He was deployed in post-Hurricane Helene relief efforts and was injured on the job and is still on light duty.
Commissioner Franklin, motion to approve. Pardon, second.
All right, chief, if you can hear us, we have a motion to approve in a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion passes, chief, if you can hear me, nod your head. All right, there you go. Okay, Bledsoe County.
Bledsoe County Sheriff's Office requests a waiver of in-service for the second consecutive year for David Allen Kite. Hired December 20th, 2023. Mr. Kite did not complete required training for the 2024 calendar year and is deficient 11 hours. The waiver will allow both the agency and the officer to remain in compliance with post guidelines.
Anyone from the Bledsoe County Sheriff's Office? Hey, I guess the concerning thing is this for the second consecutive year.
And our legal division can give another overview of the law and what the post rules state as well.
Right, so we remember from last month, we talked about that statute that we put on the screen about 2 years, after 2 years missing in service, that by operation of law you were done. That's still true, but after kind of discussing amongst the then legal division, we've landed on the waivers can still be granted for appropriate reasons. The commission doesn't have to grant them, but you essentially get an infinite number of waivers as long as the commission approves them. Again, the requirement that they approve them. If they don't, and the person was beyond the 2 years or at 2 years, they would become decertified, but the commission has the ability to grant the waiver. I know there was a little bit of discussion about that last month. Maybe sounded like a little bit more finality to it than.
Do we know anything else about this? David, why he's missed hours? 2 years in a row?
The request for the waiver simply states that all required classes were completed and that the officer thought all he had to do was complete what was assigned to him on Virtual Academy.
So my question, I guess the legal would be, if we deny this, and he loses his certification based on this, and he would have to appear before the commission,
He'd have to
be recertified.
go through basic everything.
He couldn't ask to go through transition school or.
Well, because that's you're decertified at that point.
Okay.
If you hit that 2 year, the first year would only be disqualification for salary supplement. The second year,
You have to go back to the full academy.
If it helps the commission, and it looks like he's been an officer since at least 2010 and is currently just a part-time officer with Graysville PD. Looks like he left, well, he's still full-time with Bledsoe County as well, so he's got 2 listings there on the roster.
So I'm Commissioner Jefferson. So how many total hours now? Because it's the second consecutive, is it the second consecutive year for him or second consecutive for the department? Sorry.
Second year for him.
I mean, total hours is he deficient? 11 altogether for both years, or?
He only did 29 this year. I'm sure we can look up what he did last year, but he only completed 29 hours of service this year.
This year being 2024.
Yes, ma'am, the last calendar year.
We don't know if those were Mr. Spangler, we don't know if those were mandatory that he completed or not.
It looks like he completed his firearms qualifications, CSA, EVOC, and mental illness and DUI. So sounds like he does qualification, a couple of courses that were assigned him at the academy for his mandatory topics and just didn't complete any other hours. And it looks very similar in 2023, but he also did not do his qualification in 2023.
Commissioner Spangler, I'm gonna make a motion, we move it to next month and have them either come in or virtual.
Explain it. So that you might. Okay, do we have a second?
Second. Sorry.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, did everybody hear the motion? Okay. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Any opposed? So if anybody's listening, Bledsoe County, we want to see who they may.
The Carter County Sheriff's Office requests a waiver of in-service for the second consecutive year for Preston Todd White, hired December 15, 2023. Mr. White completed 80 hours of in-service training, but did not complete the required mandated training for the 2024 calendar year. The waiver will allow both the agency and the officer to remain in compliance with those.
Is the Carter County Sheriff's Office online? Let's see. Do the same thing.
Commissioner Jefferson, I make a motion to postpone it to May.
We have a second.
Spangler second.
Yes. I'm sorry.
Spangler second.
Staff,
What did y'all say?
Commissioners, this is Staff Sergeant Malone with Carter County.
Samson.
Commissioners, can you all hear me?
Carter County, give me the thumbs up if you're online. 'Cause we can't
I am
hear you.
online.
Oh, there he is. All
Yes,
right.
I am online.
You're muted. We can't hear you. We see your mouth moving. We can't hear you.
I can hear you.
Oh, wait.
There we go.
Hold on. Let us get some volume here. Do we know who he is?
That is Sergeant Malone.
All right, Sergeant Malone, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, good, there you are. All right, so tell us about Deputy White.
Yes, Deputy White came to us in 2023. He was not eligible for a salary supplement in 2023 due to the 8-month rule. And then this year, it was an oversight on my part. I thought he had enough. He was about 4 to 5 hours of the post mandates, and that was an oversight. And on my part, I didn't catch it. And when I submitted the 2024 salary supplement, and I submitted the waiver so we can be in compliance with post.
Okay, are you gonna be able to rectify this for the in-service this year?
Yes.
What's the pleasure of the commission?
Commissioner Green, motion to approve.
Want to do that, I'll need to rescind because we got a motion in a second.
We never did vote on it, though.
So.
All right, let's vote to rescind the original motion.
I'll rescind.
Okay, all right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Now, your motion is to approve. Do we have a second?
Lane second.
All right, we have a second. All in favor to approve, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Sergeant, make sure you get him squared away this year, okay?
Yes, ma'am. I'm definitely making sure that he will be in compliance with post with all the mandates and everything else for the 40 hours.
All right, good man, Sergeant. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Coffee County Sheriff's Office requests a waiver of in-service for Troy Allen Huffines, hired November 6, 2024. He did not complete the required training for the 2024 calendar year. Due to the time of hire and completion of the Transition Academy, the waiver will allow both the agency and the officer to remain in compliance with post guidelines.
Coffee County, are you present?
Yes, ma'am. I'm Sheriff Martin. I'm for Cobb County Sheriff's
I
Office.
thought you were gonna recuse yourself.
I'm gonna testify then recuse myself, but, we hired, Troy Defines to be one of our SRO officers in one of our elementary schools. During this time period, he went to transition school and is doing an excellent job. And, I would, answer any questions that the board may have.
Commissioner Ryan, motion to approve.
Do you want to recuse yourself off of the record?
I will be recusing myself.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Carter, second.
All right, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
For what it's worth on the folks that are hired late in the year and attend transition school, they do receive all the mandates when they come through transition school as well. So he did have over 120 hours of training. Metropolitan Nashville Police Department requests waivers of in-service for the following officers who did not complete the required training for the 2024 calendar year due to the time of hire and completion of a lateral academy. Mason Crosser, Jesse Hughes, and Rico Jones. The waiver will allow both the agency and the officers to remain in compliance with post guidelines.
Yes, Sergeant.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kerry Bryan with Metro Nashville Police Department Training Academy. These three officers came to our agency from other agencies within Tennessee that were post-approved. During 2024, they did all start in service and were at various points when they came to our academy in September. Anywhere from 8 hours to 29 hours is what they completed. They all graduated from our lateral academy, which was 646 hours in January this year. All of them are currently scheduled for 2025 in service, and some of them have already completed some of the elements for this year's in service.
Questions from the commissioners?
Or make a motion to approve all listed names, all three names listed within the Metro Police Department's request.
Do we have a second?
Lane, second.
All in favor of the motion to approve, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. All right, Sergeant.
Thanks very much.
Montgomery County Sheriff's Office requests a waiver of in-service for Francis Joseph Sarcello, hired October 21st, 2024. He did not complete the required training for the 24 calendar year due to the time of hire and completion of a transition academy. The waiver will allow both the agency and the officer to remain in compliance with post guidelines.
Montgomery County Sheriff's Office, are you present?
Yes, ma'am. Sergeant Matthew Drudy with the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office.
All right, Sergeant, thank you. Anybody have any questions? This is a situation, transition school.
Commissioner Ryan, motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve, do you have a second?
Carter, second.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. All right, motion carries. Montgomery
Thank you.
County.
Thank you very much.
The Mountain City Police Department requests a waiver of in-service for Elijah Noel Rourke, hired August 22nd, 2022. He did not complete the required training for the 2024 calendar year and is deficient 7 hours. The waiver will allow both the agency and the officer to remain in compliance with post guidelines.
Mountain City Police Department, are you represented either online or in person?
Yes, ma'am. Mountain City Police Department online.
Oh, okay. There's no picture there. All right. So why was this person minus 7 hours?
He completed, Mr. Rourke had completed 33 hours of his training on the V Academy. He got all of his mandatory in. He did complete a 16-hour basic tactical medicine in Sullivan County at Sullivan County Sheriff's Department, and for some reason it didn't get entered. I'll take responsibility for that one. It was a mistake. It was overlooked. If he would have had that 16 hours added to what he already had, he would have had more than his time.
Okay, I'm not sure we were allowed you to identify yourself. Would you do that for the record, please?
I'm Chief Joey Norris.
Okay, thank you, Chief. So you say he's over the hours? He's not deficient 7?
Well, he did come up deficient. He had 33 hours. He altogether, but he did take a course on the 27th day of June last year that was 16 hours and it didn't get submitted for approval. So
They haven't since it. Have you submitted it since then?
no, ma'am, I have not. I wasn't for sure if I needed to or not.
Questions?
He got sent in at the end of the year and he came up the 7 hours short because of the 16-hour course didn't get submitted.
Chief Commissioner Wright, you said 33 hours of B Academy. Did he have the firearms and other required eval?
Yes, he had the firearms and everything. He had firearms and all the mandatories.
So it was a part of the 30.
Do what? Excuse me.
Not sure. Chief,
So was that a part of the 33 hours?
Yeah, the 33
Firearms
hours
and
is his 8 hours firearms and all the other mandatories.
there you are. Can you hear us, Chief?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, we had a question. The 33 hours that were completed, it included all of the mandatory post-required classes and its qualification. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, it did.
Is he squared away for this year? Could you complete all 40 hours and his mandatories?
He only completed he completed 33 hours for the year of 24.
Okay, so I'm asking it for 2025, you will rectify this situation.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, we will.
Commissioner Wright, motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Or is it?
All right, we have a second. All in favor of the motion to approve, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Chief, it was approved. Just get it squared away this year.
We will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ready for Rocket Top. Request a waiver of in-service for Kalen Stephen McClurg, hired September 26, 2024. Mr. McClurg did not complete the required training for the 2024 calendar year and is deficient 24 hours due to the time of hire. The waiver will allow both the agency and the officer to remain in compliance with post guidelines.
Is the Rocky Top Police Department online?
Yes, ma'am. It's Chief John Thomas with GDI Deputy Chief Matt McGee.
All right, Chief, thank you. So what else do we need to know about this? He was deficient 24 hours due to his time of hire. Is that correct?
That's correct, ma'am. He was employed by Campbell County Sheriff's Office for the first 4 months of 2024. They did not have opportunity to give him any post-approved training during that time. We hired Officer McClurg September 26. He completed the post-approved in-service 16 hours here, which included all of the mandates. However, we didn't have opportunity to get him to further post-approved training for the remaining 24 hours. For 2025, he's already completed 24 hours of post-approved training, and then we'll do the 16 hours of mandates in addition to that later in the year.
Any other questions by the commission?
Commissioner Green, motion approved.
Thank you, second.
We have a motion to approve in a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Chief, Rocky Top. It's approved.
Thank you, Commission.
Sullivan County Sheriff's Office requests a waiver for in-service for the second consecutive year for Robert Samuel Bolin, hired March 10, 2022. Mr. Bolin completed 38 hours of in-service training and is deficient 2 hours of required training for the 2024 calendar year. Due to an administrative oversight, the waiver will allow both the agency and the officer to remain in compliance with post guidelines.
Sullivan County, are you online?
Yes, ma'am. Lieutenant Chris Farmer, GDI.
Thank you, Lieutenant. All right, so he just missed out on 2 hours, is that right?
That is correct, ma'am. Yes.
Get him squared away this year?
Yes, ma'am. I found the issue in Virtual Academy, and that won't be happening again at all.
Any other questions? Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
All right, do we have a second?
Carter, second.
All right, we have a motion to approve in a second. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? All right, you're good to go, Sullivan County. Take care. Oh, you got another one here, sorry.
They've got one more. Sullivan County Sheriff's Office is also requesting a waiver of in-service for John Justin Williams, hired October 29th, 2012. Mr. Williams completed 38 hours of in-service training and is deficient 2 hours of required training for the 2024 calendar year due to an administrative oversight. The waiver will allow both the agency and the officer to remain in compliance with post guidelines.
There's that doggone 2 hours again.
Yes, ma'am, and it's the exact same issue that was in the virtual academy. I was able to discover that and figure out what it was, and like I said, that definitely will not be happening again.
Motion,
Part of the motion.
wait a second.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, it passes. All right, now you're good to go, Sullivan County.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Coming on to waivers of the 6-month rule, the Brownsville Police Department requests 3 6-month waivers for Shaquille Smith, hired January 11, 2024. He is unable to begin training due to military orders. He is scheduled to return in September of 25.
Commissioner Ryan,
Do we have a second?
Spangler, second.
All right, Brownsville Police Department, are you online? We're gonna vote this. Brownsville? All right, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Brownsville, if you're listening, the motion carried.
Hamilton County Sheriff's Office requests a 6-month waiver for Angela Hodge, hired October 1, 2024. Ms. Hodge was scheduled to attend the Walter State Law Enforcement Training Academy in January of 25, but was unable to begin training due to staffing issues. Ms. Hodge began training in April of 2025. Began training in April of 2025.
Okay, is Hamlin County Sheriff's Office online?
Motion approved.
All right, do we have a second?
Carter second.
All right, we have a motion to approve in a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we have another one. County.
Hamilton County Sheriff's Office requests 2 6-month waivers for Travis McKinley Whitaker, hired August 16, 2024. Mr. Whitaker was scheduled to attend the Walter State Law Enforcement Training Academy in January of 25, but was unable to begin training due to staffing issues. He began training in April of 2025.
Motion to approve.
Okay, and a second.
Carter second.
All right, we have a motion to approve in a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Hamlin County's consent agenda items.
Mr. Porter, I'll make a motion to approve all items within the consent agenda. If there are any.
Lane second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Whole business.
Old business, Brownsville Police Department. During the March meeting, the agency presented an in-service waiver request for Robert Lee Haley Jr. Mr. Haley did not complete the required training for the 2024 calendar year due to not meeting the firearms qualification. Commission requested an update on the action that has been taken regarding the in-service training deficiency. The waiver will allow both the agency and the officer to remain in compliance with post guidelines.
It's the Brownsville Police Department represented. See them there. All right, I see you. Please identify yourself for the record.
It's unmute.
Unmute, please. We can't hear you, Brownsville. Unmute. I see your name, Brownsville PD, but we cannot hear you.
And he appears his is muted.
Can you unmute? Hit the unmute button on your screen. Okay, we still can't hear you. It's the screen in the center, right? Yes. All right. You need to unmute so we can talk to you.
By writing.
Can I call in? Okay, well, that works.
I actually have a copy of the letter that he was gonna read today, and I can go ahead and read that while he's trying to work on his
Who
technical
is
issues.
he? Is he the chief? Can't see
This
his
is the GDI, Daniel Patrick Black, with the Brownsville Police Department.
lieutenant or?
He's lieutenant, yes, ma'am.
Okay, Lieutenant, we're gonna read your letter for the record that you wrote since we cannot hear you. You see the little red, emblem on your screen that has the microphone and the line dashed through it? That means you're muted. So if you can click on that, that will unmute you.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead. Read it. I'm sorry.
Oh, what?
I'll read this letter here. On 3/21/25, the Tennessee Post Commission met in Nashville. I attended the meeting via Zoom in regards to the in-service waiver request for Robert Paisley and Nigel Pease. During the course of the meeting, the requested waivers were discussed and voted on by the commission. The commission voted to leave the Brownsville Police Department in good standing. But Robert Haley and Nigel Peoples were determined to not be in good standing with the commission. I was informed that we had 30 days to decide what we as an agency were going to do about the two officers not completing in service and then report back to the commission at the next meeting. I was warned that if we didn't do anything and if it didn't satisfy the commission would take it upon themselves to determine what was to be done with the officers. On Monday, March 24th, 2025, Chief Kelvin Evans, Assistant Chief Jason Haynes, and I met to discuss the post commission meeting. We discussed different disciplinary options for Robert Haley and Nigel Peoples in hopes of satisfying the post commission. At the end of our discussion, we decided the following. In regards to Robert Haley, he will remain employed by the Brownsville Police Department, but will be transferred permanently to a non-enforcement position that he's been assigned to since January 2nd, 2025. This position is a non-law enforcement civilian position at the Domestic Violence Center. In regards to Nigel Peoples, he would be given a written reprimand placed in his personal file and be required to complete an additional 20 hours of in-service training for calendar year 2025. A minimum of 30 hours of the required 60 hours of in-service training will be completed by April 18th of 2025. All in-service hours with the additional 20 hours of training will be completed by June 30th of 2025, with the exception of firearms training. Our agency is in the process of possibly acquiring and transitioning to a new service weapon, and firearms in service will be completed after a determination is made on this transition. Our hope is that these things will be sufficient to be in compliance with the post commission and get Nigel Peoples back to good standing with.
Okay, Lieutenant, just nod your head. Did you hear us read your letter that you sent to the post commission? Just indicate yes or no. Okay, let's take that as you listen. Okay, is that it's complete as you remember it, as you submitted it? There it is. Okay. All right. What's the pleasure of the commission? Does it satisfy?
Well, this is Commissioner Gray, and my concern, I guess, on Mr. Haley, who's not going to be in law enforcement anymore, based on what they're saying, it's not an issue. But Mr. Peoples didn't qualify last year, and they're still waiting to get him qualified now while he's still carrying a firearm. Now you're looking at 12 months of last year, 4 months already of this year, that he's not qualified with a firearm he's carried. So I still have a concern about that.
She could talk to us. Is it possible for him to call in?
There's been the invitation that he got in email. There's a phone number that he should be able to call in. If he has that email still.
Oh,
There he is.
I think I may have finally got it figured out.
good deal. All right. Could you hear any of this discussion, Lieutenant?
No, ma'am. The last thing I heard was you asking if the letter was an accurate representation of what I sent.
Right. And then we had a discussion about the second candidate person, Nigel Lamont Peoples.
Yes, ma'am.
Right on the gun range. Is he still in an active sworn position in your agency? Is he still going armed even though he hasn't qualified?
Officer Peoples qualified, met all of his mandatories for 2024. He just came up 3 hours short of meeting the required 40. Officer Haley is the one that did not qualify for the year of 24. And he is no longer in an armed enforcement position. Pursuant to our general orders, he was moved to a civilian role within our agency, but not in an enforcement or an armed position.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that clarification.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions?
Commissioner Spain, motion to approve.
For specify
I'm sorry.
what
For both officers and keep them in compliance, so keep the one in compliance in the agency.
Okay,
Commissioner Green second.
so the motion, to approve, is he a deputy Peoples?
Officer Peoples, yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm sorry, it's police department, I'm sorry. So the motion is to approve his, post certification and the agency, Brownsville Police Department. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And we have a second. So all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Sorry, we finally got to it there, Lieutenant. Appreciate
I'm
your patience and working with us on this because we know it's important to you, it's important to us.
Yes, ma'am. I apologize for the technical difficulties. I have had a little trouble hearing. Could you tell me what was decided again, please, ma'am?
Okay, we're satisfied that, Officer Haley, is in a non-sworn assignment. He's been transferred.
Yes, ma'am.
And Officer Peoples has met his qualification and you have him squared away for this year's in-service. And so we have approved both he and your agency in compliance with the Post Commission.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Be
Have a
careful.
good, thank you, ma'am.
All right. Crossville Police Department. During the March meeting, the commission deferred action on the in-service waiver request for Tyrell Lorenz due to pending criminal charges. The agency is to provide an update on the outcome of those charges. Mr. Lorenz did not complete the required training for the 2024 calendar year and is deficient 8 hours of firearms training. The waiver will allow both the agency and the officer to remain in compliance with post guidelines.
Okay, so Crossville Police Department represented online.
Yes, ma'am. Chief Jesse Brooks with the Crossville Police Department.
All right, thank you, Chief. Okay, so what else do we need to know about this? Where are you with this?
Okay, the charges, he was on administrative leave in 2024. He had completed all of his academics in service except for the firing range. And he was on administrative leave during the range, so he couldn't compete in the range. He has been brought back. All the charges were dismissed. He has completed firearms for 2025, and he's well on his way to his in-service, finishing his in-service for 2025. I'd asked for a waiver. It was something he couldn't help, and it sort of put the police department in the middle too, because he was indicted for an assault charge when he was arresting a sex offender, which the sex offender later molested his sister, and he's in prison now. So I would request a waiver if possible for Officer Lorenz.
Okay, so he's in good standing with your department, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, that is correct. He's in good, very good standing with the department.
Motion to approve the waiver.
All right, we have a motion to approve. We have a second.
Commissioner Jefferson.
All right, all in favor of the motion to approve, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. All right, Chief, the motion carried. It was approved.
Thank you very much.
All right, take care.
But you too.
Thank you, Chief. Next up, the Jackson County Sheriff's Office, the commission to revisit a February 2025 vote to approve a criminal record waiver for Ryan Carmine Dubiel. In June of 2020, Mr. Dubiel was charged with simple assault in Camden County, New Jersey. In February of 2021, he was found guilty of the charge.
Mr. Secretary, do you have a video?
I do not have the video handy right now, but the Jackson County Sheriff's Office has an update on his employment status with the department, and they did view the video.
Thank you.
All right, so is Jackson County Sheriff's Office online?
I am, ma'am.
Would you identify yourself, please?
Detective Shane Stanton, GDI.
Is there anyone else that needs just you? Are you alone, or is there someone else there representing the agency?
No, it's just me.
I don't know. This video is something.
Well, so when he was in front of the post commission requesting a waiver for this and his subsequent surrender of his post certification in New Jersey, he did not portray the facts of the situation that the video reflected. And so I do believe he has been he's no longer employed with the Jackson County Sheriff's Office, correct? Was he terminated?
That's correct. After it was brought to our attention as regards to the watered down version he portrayed to the commission, my sheriff ultimately felt that he deceived him, y'all and myself for representing him up there at the post commission, and ultimately terminated him I believe it was the day after Director Bello or Investigator Krieb, whoever brought it to our attention. Once we saw it, he immediately took action and terminated him.
I had a good conversation with the sheriff on the telephone not too long ago, and he told me that he does not put up or abide having people that lie to him on his staff. I would ask the commission, you can't decertify somebody or put them up for decertification that is not certified, because we ran into, if you recall, back maybe a year or so ago with the person who had been put up for decertification prior to attending the academy. What I would ask the commission to consider is maybe voting to flag this person's record in ACADIS so that if he tries to seek other employment in the state, then we would be able to flag that and hear him in front of this commission.
And I will make that motion on that part, and I would also like to go in and rescind my original motion that I made to approve him for the record. So I've got two motions. Which one do you want to take up first, Madam Chair?
I guess they're essentials.
As the motion, as the board member that made the motion at the time of the initial appearance, I want to rescind that motion that I made.
Mr. Green, I'll second.
So we have a motion to rescind Sheriff Department's original motion. Does everybody understand that? Okay. In a weird way, I think you understand.
Would it be better for the commission to vote on rescinding the waiver? Yes. Instead of the motion?
Yeah,
Okay.
and that was the motion for the waiver. So, and I'm going to reverse action that was taken. So I'm making that motion to rescind my motion that on the waiver.
Okay, so we already have a second.
Yes.
All right, all in favor of the motion, say aye. Any opposed? Anything else on Jackson County Sheriff's
Yes,
Office?
my second motion is to flag said individual in the case.
Second. All right, all in favor of that motion, say aye. Any opposed? All right, so that motion carries. It's just, he can't be in the nationwide.
Well, being that you're actually voting to disapprove his application for certification, this would be something that we would enter into the NDI, and it would be noted in his file that he was dishonest with the commission, and it would be flagged for him.
Where are we going to stay that big though?
I actually just sent Kat a link, and she might be able to put that up here.
I will tell you, I've seen the video, I never have, but we were flat out, totally lied to, and so was the Jackson County Sheriff and the staff. It was just a blatant lie. I'm surprised DOJ didn't pick that case up.
He just something.
We had it later.
We'll say the denials of certification, which is what the rescission of that waiver does, denial of certification, that's what that will go in under the as NPI.
So the background was, he said he was provocated into using pepper spray on one individual.
Maybe down in the body of the story, perhaps. Just as a FYI, we are working on getting our Wi-Fi speeds increased. Campus. I recall in that meeting, he had testified to the commission that the person had their fist balled up and was threatening him.
What I remember, Director, was of what he was telling, that it was, of course, self-defense or whatever, but basically it's a body cam footage of some gentlemen sitting on a townhome porch, stoop steps, officers walking down the sidewalk. They're having a conversation. There was no aggressive movements from any of the person sitting on the stoop. And all of a sudden, officer comes out with mace spray and just douses them and it was just obviously for no reason. It is just.
And then lied about it.
And, oh, absolutely.
It's like a double moral sin.
Yes.
All right, should we move on to new business?
May work. If you Google his name, there's several articles that pop up that have a video on it.
Is he terminated with this New Jersey agency?
He was actually charged. No, he wasn't criminally charged, was he?
Yeah,
I believe
He was indicted.
Okay.
I think there was a lot of discussion as to whether or not he was actually decertified or just not allowed to be certified in New Jersey, and that never appeared on the NDI.
That was part of the plea agreement, was he would leave New Jersey and surrender his certification.
He just came south.
And he said the reason for all of his criminal charges was politically motivated.
Yes, those specific questions were asked.
I think he wants to say something. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yes, I did a NDI search prior to us submitting the waiver in the beginning, and then ended up calling the Attorney General's office up in New Jersey, and they since switched systems from whenever this incident occurred to a new system that now reports to the NDI. The previous system didn't. So, and they didn't have any way to upload decertifications in the system.
Well, and I can just say this, I mean, that's not to call it another state, but you can manually enter names into the National Decertification Index. So, but I'm glad they're reporting now. So.
Right.
All right.
Also, on another note, sometimes you think you know somebody, and it's good just to do a Google search of names, and you never know what you lead up. Don't Google search names.
We've revised our hiring policy and our background investigations, so that issue should not ever happen again, hopefully.
Okay. We appreciate you, and I guess he'll know now that Tennessee will be playing.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
All right, new business. Agreed order of suspension for Justin Dion Murphy. Mr. Murphy was employed by the Tennessee Highway Patrol from February 25th, 2024 until his termination on October 29th, 2024. On or about April 4th, 2025, Mr. Murphy agreed to the suspension of his post certification, and legal has an update.
So Mr. Murphy had appeared before the commission, I think, on the formal agenda back in January. Murphy attorney, Mr. Newbern, they reached out to propose an alternate resolution. He is right now pending a formal hearing where it's not been set yet. When I went back and looked at the decertification packet the THP had submitted and posed, it appears that largely these are technical competence issues. I mean, there's instances of speeding, maybe 3 or 4 times of that. I think maybe a weapon not handled correctly, parking in a handicap zone. I didn't see anything though in order to provide my memory about integrity issues. So, Mr. Newbern, if you want to.
Yes, sir. Daniel Newbern, we represent Mr. Murphy in Coaching. Just speaking to him, he does realize that there was some deficiencies. He's accepted that. He's accepted his termination from THP. However, he does wish to be able to come back into the state and be a police officer. It's his dream. It's what he wants to do. He felt, I guess you would call it the probationary period. because of some things like, yeah, he parked in a handicap spot, ran into KFC, grabbed a meal, came back out. Somebody complained on it, and he did it, and said that I shouldn't have done that, do it again. So it's just things like that. This is nothing to where it's an integrity issue, where, you know, he doesn't need to be a police officer.
Questions from the commissioners?
What was the agreed order of suspension? Mr. Commissioner Green.
2 years. 2 years suspension.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
Commissioner Jeffers, second.
All in favor of the motion to approve the agreed order of suspension, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
One.
Okay.
No.
All right, the order was approved.
The Salina Police Department requests a waiver of rules 1110-03-.0442A1 and 3 for Spencer Broderick Brewer, hired April 1, 2024. He became a certified officer on August 6, 2023. Completed an approved instructor development course in February of 2025. Due to staffing issues, the agency is requesting approval to appoint him as GDI, General Departmental Instructor, by seeking a waiver of the required 5 years of full-time law enforcement experience and 1 year of experience as Department Training Officer.
Is there someone here online from the Salina Police Department?
This is Chief Terry Scott, ma'am.
Good morning, Chief. Okay, anything else you want to tell us about this?
Ma'am, he completed his GDI classes in April 7th and 8th. Spencer is a very smart young man. We're actually planning on doing our in-services in-house. We're looking at this year, we got a lot of goals. We're wanting to go back to old style, do the 40 hours in-house, did a Versal Academy. I'm kind of want to get back to the old school. And I'm sending 2 more officers to, we're gonna have 3 instructors. That's kind of why I was wanting a little help.
Questions?
I appreciate it if y'all could help me out. I've had a tough way to go the last couple of years, but now we've got a full house now, and we're looking good now. We got a full crew, and I see a good future in us.
Chief, how many officers does Salina have?
Okay, we have 7 counting me.
Okay. Sheriff Department, I'll make a motion to approve the chief's request.
Do we have a second?
Lane, second.
All right, we have a motion to approve and a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. All right, Chief, we approved your request.
Thank you all very much. Y'all have a good day.
All right, thank you.
The next item on the agenda, late submission of in-service training. The Post Commission to determine action for late submission of 2024 in-service training to the Claiborne County Sheriff's Office. And I believe Kevin Freeb has an investigative report to deliver to the commission first.
Kevin Creek, Post Investigator. This was brought up as an initial audit with Claiborne County. They were deficient on being a late submittal of 2023 for their salary supplement also. And also 2024, they were late with their salary supplement also submitting it. They actually didn't even approve their firearms lesson plan for 2024. So there was a whole bunch of issues with their GDI submitting paperwork. So I went to Claiborne County and did an uninvited visit and met with the GDI, Lieutenant Brendel. At that time, I asked for his firearms roster for 2024. I asked for his lesson plan for firearms for 2024, and also his firearms roster for 2023, since the commission approved his 2023 salary supplement without us even having his firearms roster. At the time of the visit, he stated he did not have his laptop with him. He left his laptop at home, and he said all his records were on his laptop. I asked him about paper copies of the rosters or lesson plan or anything like that. He stated that the paper files, he must have taken them home to review because there was an issue with this. with the post commission and he wanted to have everything together. He had a computer at his desk. I asked if he had anything on his hard drive at the desk. He stated no, that they had IT issues and he kept everything on his laptop. And he had no paper files in the office whatsoever. So during my visit, he wasn't able to provide anything to me. We came to the conclusion that by the next day, he was going to get those records to me and email it to me, and we'll go from there. The next day it came and gone. I had several communications back and forth with him, not answering emails, not answering phone calls. And then I reached out to his Chief Deputy Hayes, who I think is present here today, to try to get a fire under Lieutenant Brindle to get those documents to me. So I went there on a Monday. Friday morning, I did receive those documents I requested, the 2024 lesson plan and the 2024 roster, firearms roster. And I don't know if you have it on your iPads, but I have a copy of the actual roster he sent us. It's a computer generated roster with digital signatures on it. And it has, it was really fill in the blank boxes and stuff like that. And we were able to look at the data images of it to see when it was actually inputted in and stuff like that. And it looked like the morning before he submitted the document to me, it was altered and inputted in. So there was a question of, was this just created that day or regenerated that day, or was this a pre-existing document? So from that time, it was discussed with legal that, hey, this was an audit. It started out as an audit. Let's turn it into an investigation. And that's when I went back to Lieutenant Brindle and questioned him further about this. And Lieutenant Brindle finally came clean and stated that he created the document and that he did not have the rosters. He did not have the firearms rosters. If you look at the roster itself, there's a whole bunch of scores and dates of the firearms shoot of all the deputies with the Claiborne County Sheriff's Department. After questioning him about the firearm scores, he stated that he made those numbers up, the firearm scores up. He stated that he knows his deputies and that he knows pretty much how they shoot. So it's going to be a good estimate of their firearm scores, but those are not an accurate representation of their scores. And I believe the date of the shoot that he gave us of November 20th, 2024 was not an accurate representation of the Sheriff's Department actually doing their firearms qualification. So he lied to me about having the records. He lied to me about having a paper file of the hard copies of the records. And then he submitted to post fraudulent documents for their salary supplement for 2024. The big sad thing in all this is I was able to get the rosters of the firearms shoot, the handwritten paper copies from Chief Deputy Hayes from his firearms instructors. So we are able to get an accurate score and representation of the firearms shoot that Claiborne County did do, and the accurate dates that they actually did submit to the firearm range and the deputies that passed. So we are able to backtrack and recreate a clean roster and get them a salary supplement that those deputies deserve. Because their deputies did do a firearm shoot. They did do an 8-hour class. So they will be able to, if the post commission approves a late lesson plan submittal, they have a new person in that position now. They attended our GDI class last week, and they actually already submitted their lesson plan for their firearm shoot for 2024. If the commission does approve the lesson plan for 2024, we could then get that roster in and finish their salary supplement to get their deputies the salary supplement that deserve it. But the issue that this commission faces is the situation with Lieutenant Brindle providing false information to the commission and also to me during our investigation. It's my understanding that Lieutenant Brindle no longer works for the Sheriff's Department. I don't know if he left on good standing, retired, or was terminated. I just know he no longer works in the Sheriff's Department, but it's something that the commission needs to decide on if they're going to seek decertification on him or any disciplinary action.
Thank you. Who is here representing the Claiborne County Sheriff's Office today?
Chief Deputy Hayes, and also have with me Deputy Jake Williams, our newly appointed GDO.
What do you want to tell us about all of this?
Well, everything he said was true. It was a surprise to me, the sheriff. We were being told, led to believe that everything was good. This started back in 2023. We had some turnover in the agency. The training duties were given to the person we thought was competent to be able to handle it. All during the year of 2024, we were being led to believe that everything was being submitted correctly. And unfortunately, we found out too late, which is on me. I should have probably been monitoring a little bit better, but through incompetence and deceit, we were led to believe that it was being done correctly, but it wasn't. We've made changes since then to the 15 years I've been with the department. We've never had a actual training officer, person designated to be the training officer without having a lot of other hats to wear. We've made the move to do that with Deputy Williams. He will be our training officer with his primary duties being training. Make sure that these things get done the proper way. Of course, for whatever reason, like the investigator said, the fake documents, why they were made up, don't know. When I was told that, was asked if we had brought, if we actually went and shot, I said, yes. Do you have documentation? Yes. The next day I had it to him. Why he didn't do that, I had no idea. Can't explain it.
You're referring to the lieutenant,
Yes,
and he's no longer with your agency.
that's correct.
Retire,
He resigned in lieu of termination.
and Deputy Williams, you've been through proper training to be the GDI for the agency.
Yes, and I have some previous experience. I was appointed to GDI at New Tazewell Police Department. I think 2018 was when I held that position. And I left there in 2021.
And so you've already started documenting in-service position.
Yes, I have submitted the firearms lesson plan for 2025 that has been approved.
One of the things, our officers did the training. The incompetence of this one officer, and like I said, I'll take responsibility for not monitoring. This officer has been with us for 20-something years. And for some reason, he just went awry. I can't explain it. He was lying to me and to the sheriff, telling us everything was good. I had stayed in contact with several people that folks to try to keep up with what he was doing, but didn't get into the details of everything being submitted correctly and on time. And unfortunately, we found out too late.
Other questions from the commissioners?
Commissioner Wright, Chief, are y'all going to seek decertification on Mr. Rebel?
That's up to work that we have to do it.
Well, you don't have to do it, but I'm just curious if the department was.
I'll have to discuss that with the sheriff, see which way he was doing.
Commissioner Wright, as has been the case, typically our investigator presented that, and the commission can also decide to take action for that as well based on.
That's what we were told in here.
Yes.
Now, if it's up to us, that'll be something to discuss with the sheriff. But what we think the moves that we have made now will rectify the situation going forward. I know it doesn't do anything for this past year, but what we're doing now will make it for this administration, plus maybe in a future administration.
And just if I could add one more thing, they actually sent 2 people to the GDI class, so they actually have a backup of the current GDI, just in case something falls and he goes out sick or something out. So they sent 2 people. They're up to speed with the current training and the current requirements for posting.
This will be a new person, actually a new position fixed inside our budget. And we decided to go ahead and proceed with that, even though our next budget doesn't start till July.
Mr. Lynn, I have a question for you. Has there been any criminal referral on any of these matters? Because I think the least that should happen to him is decertification. You're submitting fraudulent documents. Do we know, has there been any criminal referral?
that was something that, your investigator, I think it would have to be handed over to the DA for them to.
That's right.
We, if the commission chooses, I can refer this to the district attorney's office for that judicial district.
That's not something we're asking for right now. All we're trying to do is make sure we got our department line with what we're supposed to do. We feel like the fact he's been with us for 20-something years and he's resigned, like I said, in lieu of termination, because we were going to terminate.
Once we know about it, that includes your department, you gotta deal with it.
Yes, and we did this. We dealt with.
No, I know on an administrative matter, I'm not saying that, but now we've got some criminal activity going on and stuff.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Commissioner Wright, I'll make a motion that we do no action for Claiborne County. For Ted Brindle, that we move him to a informal and also have investigators submitted to the DA.
Commissioner Lang, second.
And we add approval of their 2024 firearms lesson plan to catch them up.
And approval of their 2024 firearms lesson plan petition.
Second.
Everyone's clear on the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Are you good to go? You understand what we just did to you?
Yeah, you're going to look forward with a couple other items with Mr. Griggle, but you have approved the lesson plan for the salary.
Yes, and it goes through in compliance.
We're good.
All right, good luck to you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
All right, the next item on the agenda, late submissions for in-service training. The post commission to determine action for the following agencies that are listed below that were late in submitting their in-service training for consecutive multiple years. You can see the list below here.
And this came out of some discussion last month. I believe Commissioner Beverly had made a motion to have some of these agencies that have before the commission repeatedly for some of these late in service, or having to hunt these folks down for paperwork and it's wrong and get it corrected. And I believe even Commissioner Russell had said, hey, we need to possibly not even have them appear over Zoom. They need to come and stand before us. So that's why we compiled that list of folks that we've had some issues with the last couple of years. And I believe some of them are here if you wish to speak to them.
Well, let's start with Bethel Springs Police Department, years 2020 through 2024. Are they represented online or in person?
Well, Bethel Springs, we're doing their salary supplement. They currently do not have any active officers at this time.
Claiborne County Sheriff's Office.
Well, I think we just kind of handled that matter. Yeah.
Eagleville.
Yes, ma'am.
Right, so for 2020 and 2021.
Yes, ma'am. I'm here as the Eagle City Police Chief, served within the community for 13 years. We're very short staffed, very small department. During that time, we were having problems recruiting and retaining officers. It's been pretty much myself there doing the normal patrol duties as well as administrative and recruiting. Past 3 years, I believe I've worked out a lot of those problems to try and get more accurately submitting them on a more on-time basis.
Does that make you approve the commission? Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Galloway Police Department. Grand Junction Police Department. Horn Beak Police Department. New Hope Police.
New Hope has got a new chief. Yep.
Galloway's here too.
Who you? I'm sorry, Chief, who are you with?
Galloway, City of Galloway.
Please step forward. We'd like to hear from you.
Sorry, we were standing right there.
All right. So, years 20 and 21. Had a late submission for the in-service training. You've got things so squared away now?
Yes, ma'am. What happened was that I had a person that was, I had an analyst that was second in charge. And each time, I never knew them. there was not training. But when I did find out, I immediately got it done, but they're no longer there. Since then, now I've got a second person now, Captain Charlie Reed, who's still helping us now. We have not been late since.
Anybody have any questions? All right, we appreciate you being here today and thank you. And let us know if you need help going forward, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
I know you don't love coming here, so if we can prevent that by assisting you, please let us know.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you all again, and sorry for that.
Thank you for coming. I think I stopped at New Hope Police Department.
Yes. When we reached out to them, they let us know that they have just hired a new chief. He's a lieutenant currently with Hamilton County, and I think he's working out a resignation period with Hamilton County before he starts his new employment with New Hope.
It sounds like he has a plan once he gets there to update.
We hope.
Okay. And I'm sorry, who are you with? One of these agencies, sir?
St. Joseph.
Okay, is Sharon Police Department? I've been St. Joseph, sir.
I'm Adam Brewer. I'm the chief of St. Joseph Police Department. I've been there for about 17 years. I've never had an issue. 20 and 21. It was myself, but I employed part-time from other agencies such as the Lawrence County Sheriff's Office, Lawrenceburg Police Department, Loretta Police Department. And at that time, I always had a GDI from one of those other departments working part-time for me. And they always handled my paperwork. And so 21 and 22, I didn't have one of those. And so it was on me, and just like the knowledge on those times, I was insufficient in getting it done. In 2023, I finally got the commissioner to bring me to hire a full-time officer, hire full-time, another full-time. Had a lot of issues getting him in a CADIS, which caused me to be late because I couldn't some land service. Investigative Cantrell helped me greatly to get that done. And this year we retired.
And how many officers do you have, Chief?
It's me and one other full-time, and then I've got 5 part-time that are full-time certified officers at other agencies.
You have hands full. Anybody have any questions? We appreciate you being here today. We want to.
All right.
Let us know if it's any of us here would be glad to assist you in any way.
Thank you so much. Investigative Cantrell has been a big help. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Saying
Madam Chair,
Yes,
just
sir.
a question. 3 of these I'm familiar with, and I know they're extremely small departments. Did we reach out to them about how many officers they can have before, like Grand Junction, one big Sharon?
Most of these departments are 1, at best 2 to 3 man departments. And in compiling this list, we were kind of discussing, well, there's a trend here. Most of these agencies are very, very small and have a high turnover rate. I think Sharon and Eagleville are probably the rare ones where they've had somebody in place continually. I know Sharon's had turnover, New Hope, Hornbeak, Bethel Springs. Just seems like about every other year, they've got a whole brand new department. So we're looking at exploring some things, having some discussions, and looking at some resources that what can we do with these municipalities to let them know that when you hire a new chief, that chief is responsible to do some things, and they need to reach out to us so that we can provide that assistance. Typically, we're not finding out until, I believe last year we had an incident where the guy reached out to us and was like, hey, I haven't got an in-service check. Well, we didn't know you worked there and he'd been there for 3 years. And it was just one of those, we don't know what we don't know. So we're trying to pursue some avenues where we can maybe put some preventative maintenance in place, which we're always happy to assist. But if we don't know you're there and you don't reach out to us, this kind of becomes a black hole. So we're looking at what we can do to help those small agencies out.
More of a proactive stance than a reactive stance.
I think that's a great idea.
I think some of these agencies probably go a significant amount of time without an officer at all.
Correct. And what we're finding is they'll hire somebody that doesn't have management experience or doesn't have training officer experience. He might have been an officer, but just never had these responsibilities. So he doesn't know what's required and what needs to be reported to us. And so therein lies deficiencies. So I think if we can work with, quite often there's a city clerk or, reporter that is longer tenured. if we can work with some of those folks, like, hey, when you're having these changes in administration with your police department, you know, here's a checklist of some things that we need to be notified of. And if you'll just give us a call and say, hey, we hired a new chief, we haven't had one in 8 months or a year. I forgot what we need to do. We're happy to help them out. They'll just reach out to us.
So the question I have is, how long can a city, let's just say this, with 0 employees be considered a police department? I mean, if you have 0, then you either need to get somebody on board, get a department, or you need to hang up the span.
And that's kind of where I was leading into is, I know, I don't want to pick on Grand Junction, but last time I went to Grand Junction, the car was sitting over in the post office parking lot. But I think it's had one single blue light in the center of the hood, and getting hardly tell what color it was.
Yeah, and that really falls back on the municipality, the town or city than it does on the post commission. But yeah, it's tough. I mean, it puts a lot of these small agencies in a precarious position. You know, like Salina came before you guys today asking for, you know, a waiver. I have some concerns about making somebody a GDI that has a 1.5 years of experience, and he's already on his 3rd agency. And as we see on these agendas, those positions carry a lot of responsibility and can put your agency and your officers in a big pickle. So there are some concerns there of just hiring any Tom, Dick, and Harry, making them chief, and they're not reporting, not doing what they're supposed to do, because they could have some pretty big consequences.
And even agencies that aren't as small, like you look at Claiborne County, you have a GDI that does something that tells you everything is going well, and you take their word for it because, I mean, you trust that person, and then if they turn around and they provide fraudulent documents to post or don't do what they're supposed to do.
Or those little municipalities contract with their local constable and they don't have to do that.
Okay, are we ready to move on? Did you have something, Chief, or you just? Okay, and we all know that agencies are struggling, not just for personnel. But I had one reach out to me and he said, you know, I've got 5 officers and I actually went out and bought their badges myself. And he said, if you have anything you can spare, we'd appreciate it. So I connected him to our quartermaster. And he came down recently to take some uniforms and some other equipment that we had in the quartermaster just to help him.
Do you remember the nice lady that was the chief over the Zucchini?
I think.
Bless her heart, do you remember? She was paying for their academy
Yes,
training.
to send them to school.
Out of her own pocket.
Out of her own pocket.
It's a sad time for law enforcement. So anything we can do, when I say that, I'm sincerely mean it because we all have something.
Didn't Gates decide to do away with their?
No,
Not Gates.
And yeah, they've been defunct since that incident, yes, sir. At least to our knowledge.
Well, and you heard the chief from St. Joseph, you know, talk about the work that Bruce did with him to help him get back into compliance. But, you know, that is something that we pride ourselves on, doing the day-to-day work that this commission compels us to do, is that our investigators and our staff will, you know, we will offer technical assistance. We would really prefer to help people stay in compliance as opposed to the investigative side of it. So, you know, all people have to do is call us, but as we've seen, sometimes they don't call us.
You hit the nail on the head, you just didn't say it, but this is something where you folks that are here from Commerce and Insurance Legal need to get with your legislative liaisons. If you really want to do something to help guide law enforcement, work with the next legislative session on law making requirements on small municipalities about getting in and out of the police department, police vehicles. And that would save this board and the state a lot of issues down the road. There needs to be legislative requirements. It's the end of story.
Okay. Anything else on this before we move on to the investigative report? All right.
Post investigative report, post investigator to report findings of an investigation conducted on the Lebanon Police Department for a reserve officer not meeting pre-employment standards. And our investigator appearing with Kevin Creed.
Kevin Creed, post investigator. This was already kind of addressed earlier in the meeting with the waiver, the military waiver. That's how this came up. Lebanon Police Department was already working a reserve deputy who did not meet pre-employment standards because they did not have the waiver. The Lieutenant Brown of the Lebanon Police Department stated that it was an oversight, it was human error, and that was self-corrected by them submitting the waiver proactively on their own to get that taken care of. I did go to the Lebanon Police Department and conduct an audit and of their whole reserve and part-time program. And they're actually ahead of a lot of other departments in this area. They are submitting all their officers, part-time reserve deputies into ACADIS to track them better, which, as you heard earlier from Director McCain, it's, that may be a coach role in the future. But they proactively are submitting that. During the audit, I found that all their pre-employment was done for all their part-time and reserve officers, and all their training hours are in compliance, and they were meeting all post requirements for their part-time and reserve deputies. The only deficiency was that one officer that was working since 2022, and that's self-corrected by the waiver that you guys granted earlier today.
Would you, Investigator Creed, would you say that perhaps because there is no requirement right now that a reserve officer be reported into the ACADIS portal, that perhaps that an agency may not realize they have to submit the same waiver for a reserve officer that they would submit for a full-time officer?
I would agree that's a common understanding across the state that a lot of people are hiring part-time people and reserve officers here and there, and they're not keeping up with their records and not meeting pre-employment standards. Have we seen, I've been with this commission for the last 2 years, and we've seen several issues with reserve and part-time officers. It's because they are not submitted into ACADIS like a regular officer and treating them like the pre-employment standards of a regular officer.
Based on what I've read and what I've listened to, it sounds like the Lebanon Police Department that you're squared away now.
Yeah, they are up to speed on all their training and their pre-employment, and they're proactive submitting everything into ACADIS and getting all their part-time and reserves into ACADIS to track them easier for the commission to track.
Commissioner Spain will make a motion to approve. Martin second.
All right, all in favor of the motion to approve, say aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
All right, the final thing on the agenda besides public comment is a report from Middle Tennessee State University and the work that they did on the job task analysis. This was a significant project that was undertaken across the state. I want to thank all of the chiefs and the sheriffs across the state for really getting the members of their agency to participate in this. And so this is just the report's been approved, everything's been approved, and now this is the presentation of the job task analysis officially to the Post Commission. And you get a nice binder with it too.
All right, good morning. As that's pulled up here, we have some binders for you to keep for the commission today. Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Ben Stickle with Middle Tennessee State University. I'm pleased to share with you today the results of our major project that you commissioned, and one that I'll add places Tennessee at the forefront of modern law enforcement. So I'm very pleased to share this with you. Begin by doing a brief introduction of the team that worked on this. Again, my name is Ben Stickle. I have about 6 years of law enforcement experience in Kentucky and 2 years in the Kentucky Law Enforcement Council and similar roles as you today. Joining with me on this team was Dr. Tom Buchanan, who couldn't be here today. Has 17 years executive director at the Illinois Post. Dr. Carter Smith, who's with us today, has over 20 years with Army CID. And Dr. Patrick McCarthy, who has an extensive career in industrial organizational psychology. We were assisted with several students who helped us with this project. So what we did for you and what you have in front of you is the first statewide job task analysis for Tennessee law enforcement. We strove to empirically give you a good idea of what exactly a police officer, sheriff's deputy does day to day in this state for law enforcement. The goal was to understand what they do and to be able to align training and testing standards with real world reality, which is vital for compliance, professionalism, and public safety across the state. To begin this project, we reviewed 11 other states who had completed job task analysis to see what they found in each of their state. Then we began doing focus groups. We conducted 61 virtual focus groups across the state. We had about 172 officers and deputies. We conducted these to meet their needs. So we did them during the day, we did afternoons, and we even did night shift focus groups to make sure we fully represented as well we could those who are law enforcement. One more, please. So the next slide is on page 12 as well, if you're looking through the manual. So this gives you an idea of the focus groups that we did. Again, we really tried to reach out and make sure we had good representation, both on size, agency type, jurisdiction, different sections of the state. We were very pleased to have quite a few people who came to these focus groups. We asked them various questions about what they did on a day-to-day basis, what they felt was necessary when they were to graduate the academy to begin working day one out on the streets and highways of Tennessee. So that gives you an idea of who we had participating. Next slide. Then we took the information we gathered from these focus groups and the other states who had provided some examples for us, and we developed a survey. If anyone took that survey or participated in that, we appreciate that. We had about 717 police officers, deputies, troopers, and supervisors from across Tennessee who were involved in this. We heard from patrol, we heard from investigations, SWAT, canine, traffic, many other areas. They represented a full range of agency types, as you saw in the previous slide: universities, state agencies. Many of these had a good deal of experience. So this wasn't just a sample of convenience. We were very purposeful in how we did this to try and reach out to every agency and every part we could to make sure we had good representation. And as a result, I believe we have a lot of depth, representation, and rigor in our results. Next slide. So this is a little bit maybe out of sequence, but I'm going to begin by telling you what we did. And all these tasks that we were asking officers and deputies to verify that they did. And then we looked at those to see which of those we could validate. This is a top-up and bottom-down approach. So we had patrol officers and deputies answering the question, how often did you perform these functions? We had supervisors asking how critical it was that they complete them and complete them well. We use this to weight, if you will. Go to the next slide, please. The formula, we looked at how critical these tasks were and how frequent they were. And we basically looked to keep anything that scored a 3 and above as an essential skill that should be trained in basic training. Using this method, which is very common across states, we identified 380 out of 458 tasks that we believe meet this threshold. I do want to be clear just quickly as you begin to look through this, you may see some tasks that didn't meet this criteria. It doesn't mean that these weren't important. It doesn't mean that these are something you can't train on or shouldn't train on. We were striving to get an understanding of what should be done at the basic training level when officers and deputies hit the street. Next. This next slide is larger. You can see it in your report as well, just to give you an idea. So for the patrol, mainly patrol, deputies and police officers answered that top one, which is how often does an entry line officer need to perform this task? Again, 1 is never to 5 is daily. And we asked a similar concept to those who were supervisors and above, asking how critical it is that they can complete this task. What are the consequences if these things are performed inadequately? That's how we got that scale. We used a 66% criticality and 33% frequency to give us an idea of how often these jobs are and how important they are to be included in this results. Next slide, please. So again, we took the 380 called them validated job tasks. We put those into 55 categories. These categories are fairly consistent with other states and some training guidelines from the Federal Surveys of Academies. We looked at these again based on task and frequency.
These are directed real world duties. This is not what we think officers are doing. Again, this is reflective of what officers and deputies told us that they were doing. It gives us a foundation for how we should train, what we should train, testing and things of this nature. Next slide. On page 26, I believe you can see this table where we identified, kind of grouped some of these tasks together. This is, it doesn't have to be this way, but this is how we saw fit to see it make most sense looking at all these tasks to kind of categorize and understand exactly what's going on. Hard to look at 380 tasks without having some grouping in there to get an idea of what we're doing. Next slide, please. So I want to give you an example. Many of the highly scored validated tasks, you can flip through and take a look. I pulled out domestic violence just for a minute. So this is an example. We looked at 3 different key job functions that need to occur to respond to a case of domestic violence. You can see those are listed on the left. Then we have the scores for criticality, which is how important the supervisors felt it was for these to be completed accurately, and for frequency, how often patrol deputies and officers so that they completed these. And then you have a composite score there all the way to the right, leading to the understanding that these things should be included and taught in basic training curriculum. Next slide. This is an example of another category for terrorism that we had. And you can see that the light red category at the very bottom fell under that 3 composite score that we were looking at. Again, this doesn't mean that it's not important to remain, as this one says, aware of local and regional terrorist threats, but it may fall outside of what needs to be taught in the basic training academy, while the other 2 seem to be something that's important, both by how critical they are to perform well and how frequently they are performed by officers and deputies in the state. Okay, I think we may have gone forward a couple. Slide should say project outcomes. This project gives post an empirical foundation to move forward, rooted in what local Tennessee officers actually do. We validated the core job domain of an entry-level law enforcement officer and ensure that training and testing are job-related and defensible under EEOC guidelines. With this foundation, POST can implement equitable and standardized training across the state, improve officer preparedness, academy consistency, and public confidence in their officers. Importantly, this process maintains the right balance between standardization and flexibility, while the validated curriculum or tasks set a minimum standard statewide. As I mentioned, local academies can retain the ability to add region-specific or even advanced content as they need to, and still tailor the needs to meet local and statewide agencies. So some of what can go next with this job task analysis, this gives POST the foundation to update training statewide to maintain those standards through routine evidence-based updates. We made several suggestions in the final report, including that this type of study be done periodically every 5 to 7 years to look for new things that officers and deputies are being asked to do out on the streets, skills, things that maybe they weren't required to do 5 to 7 years ago. As we have discussed even today, law enforcement is moving very quickly, and there are certainly new things, new tasks that will come up repeatedly. So I do want to share that Tennessee, I believe, is now a leader in this space. This wasn't a federally funded academic experiment. This was built by law enforcement professionals for law enforcement professionals, and it reflects the unique needs and expectations of Tennessee agencies and the community. So I want to thank you for your leadership with this project. This report represents really a high watermark for law enforcement training in the state. The data here, it's up to you how you would like to proceed to use this. We believe this is one of the top studies that has been done in the nation. It really sets Tennessee ahead for the knowledge that they have today. So this is a very brief discussion. There's a 95-page booklet in front of you. I did bring a number of the team here today and would like to provide opportunities, if so desirable, to answer any questions that you may have about this report.
Thank you, Doctor. The slide that you had, I don't know how to describe it, all the list of tasks. Is it possible to put that back up there?
Yes, I can, if that helps you.
I couldn't look at it. Oh, okay.
I believe that's on page 26 as well, of the printed report.
And these are the ones that would be recommended.
These are categories as we defined based on the tasks, if you will. So there's a number of things. You looked at the slide under terrorism. So I think there were 3 or 4 job tasks that we recommended under that. If you look under arrests in your booklet, there's a much longer list of suggested job tasks to complete an arrest. So those are categories as we put them together based on consistency. I hope that answers your question appropriately.
So I'm looking for use of force.
Let's see, use of force. I'm trying to read it here as well. I believe that may be under the defensive tactics section. Look at the book if you want to. One of the challenges we had is many of these categories cross multiple, well, many of these tasks cross multiple categories, if you will, right? So use of force, ethics, et cetera, is often listed under multiple sections. And that was one of the discussions we had about how to list these things.
It's on page 38. Booklet or the binder under defensive tactics. Use of force, starting from verbal commands to the application of lethal force if necessary.
But also the legality would be part of that.
It says no legalities in that category.
And then it's again on page 42 with regard to case law, which would be any legal understanding, pivotal case law, Terry v. Ohio, Tennessee v. Garner, et cetera.
I can't speak for everybody, but in my jurisdiction, this one is huge.
Does that mental disorders you're pointing to?
Mental health crisis. It's every day, all day, whether it's a welfare check or a psychiatric emergency, suicide ideations, every day.
And a classic example of something that had we done this 10 years ago, we might not have listed it or listed it very in depth. And now it's certainly something that goes often.
Ties in with that.
Yes.
And just in my opinion. Anybody have any questions or observations?
I want to commend you because I was on the very tail end of the Indigent Representation Task Force, and I know the hours and hours that went into this. So I applaud you for that and the input of everybody, you down to the students. So this is very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll pay that to everyone.
It's a lot to digest, and I look forward to reading it, but I too commend you on the hard work of trying to identify what's going on in Tennessee. And we're stakeholders and we're customers, and all of us are constantly looking for best practices. So this is important. And the training it's got to be continuous. Anybody else have anything?
The exciting thing about the completion of this job task analysis, and it's something that as I went around the state and met with agencies from one end of the state to the other, the next step for this is a partnership with MTSU to generate a model basic training curriculum based on this job task analysis to make sure that it's updated. And so that process will include our sheriffs and our chiefs of police and their staffs and the training officers from the academies all across the state. And I know that Ben, you and I have had a lot of discussions, as a matter of fact, with the entire team, and that process will be very much stakeholder driven and informed by this job task analysis. So Tennessee has the opportunity and are the leader in knowing what our law enforcement officers are doing and what's important, but we will have the opportunity to be really the example in these United States on how to, create a basic training curriculum. And one of the things we discussed was figuring out, what needs to be trained in basic and to make sure that it fits into the current, if you will, box that basic training already fits into. So, Georgia just doubled its basic training to almost 900 hours or more. And there's not the appetite for a lengthier training in Tennessee right now across the state. But what we can do is focus on better training and training that is relevant, what that officer or deputy needs when they graduate from the academy to begin functioning on day one. And that is the exciting thing about completing and finally having this approved job task analysis.
And it's not just the topics, it's the way it's presented. I know that the new generation of officers, they like scenario-based training. They need to experience it to understand what you're telling them. I mean, that's not a criticism, that's just how they learn. It's different than my generation. So is it appropriate to share this with my staff, or is that?
The report belongs to this commission, so you may share it however you desire.
10-4 back door.
I'm sorry.
Is it
I was
okay to
distracted.
share this with personnel?
Yeah, this is a publicly available document now. It's something that the state sort of did a job task analysis. Back in 1992, that was more focused on the ADA and some recent laws that have been passed. But I mean, what we have here in this binder is really good, scientifically sound research. And I want to compliment and commend MTSU. When they talk about how many total focus groups did you do again?
It was 67.
67. And those were not conducted at 9 o'clock in the morning. There probably were a few, but it wasn't conducted, from 8 to 4. I mean, they met these officers where they were in their patrol cars. I know in our conversations, you had talked about how some of the video you were getting back, you see the red glow from the interior dome light of the patrol car, at 11 o'clock at night or very early in the morning. So they did a really good job to make sure that everybody, not just day shifters, for example, were represented in this. So very proud of our partnership with MTSU and the work that your entire criminal justice program core has done. I know the students that assisted them with this, they all came and they watched some of basic training, and they really embedded themselves with us to learn about the profession. And I just, I don't have enough good things to say about Middle Tennessee State University and both core and the criminal justice program.
Thank you very much, Secretary. I believe we've provided you again with the state-of-the-art, quite literal best in the nation process at the moment, and we look forward to helping everyone here as we move forward. So.
I just have a question. Is this something we plan to put up on the MTSU website as a link, or is there a way you want to disseminate this, or do you expect the post to disseminate? I want other people to sing your praises.
Well, I appreciate that. I'll be happy to coordinate that with the commission, what they think best. We've discussed perhaps with everyone's approval, you're having some type of public announcement of this, if that meets your request and your approval. We'd obviously be happy to host it. We'd be happy for you to host it, for both of us to host it. This is very important. Again, we went out and looked for other states to see what they've done as well. And I think it's important for Tennessee to be a leader in that way as well, to say this is what we did, this is the best, this is the newest. Let other states again follow the lead of what's being done. So I'd like to promote it as well.
And I'll just say also that the university, they're in state. There are out of state organizations that will do this, but they want a lot. This was a very fiscally responsible survey that was done, we could have picked other people, but I went to one meeting with MTSU and I sat down with their criminal justice group, these are people. What I took away from that meeting, these are people that truly care about law enforcement. They care about the men and women that do this job every single day, and that was my takeaway. And that's not often you find that, and so. I'm looking forward to the next, 3 years plus of our partnership on working on this basic training. It may not, some of you may not be on this commission in 3 years, but we are looking to the future, and there will be a product that comes out of this that I think this commission will have a really be very proud of to look at and consider for.
I like the fact that you used to Tennessee, because you have a vested interest, you live here, you work here, you train students. So I like that, so does some outsiders. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. Thank you.
And I went to graduate school at
Spies.
Anything else? We have public comments? No public comments. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Do I have a second? All in favor, say aye. All right, we're adjourned. Thank you.
For those of you that are staying,